Yeah, so welcome team for the recording. So we are talking about the Databricks architecture and the foundation, data engineering as a concept as a whole, um, and processing, the batch processing and streaming that we have already done. So uh, yeah, I want somebody or all of us to be tell me how we are doing. Just like a feedback. Are you guys comfortable? Are you feeling any issues, concerns with anything? How are we doing as a team? How are you feeling? The process of learning the concepts.
Yeah, yeah, Arun, it's good. At least I feel that the pace is decent. I mean, to giving enough time to go through stuff and explaining, uh, at least in detail, right? Right from the basics. So that's good.
Okay,
Uh,
nice.
and so yeah, it's I'm comfortable, but that's my opinion,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
It's very for me. It's straightforward and it's good, well paced, and it's good for me.
Okay.
And my I know, of course, today's class will be more on the architecture. That's what I was looking uh, for my specific yeah, purpose, right? For my purpose.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, yeah, this is good. I don't nothing to myself.
This Vamsi.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, I mean, yes, you have certain modules, and then you're going step by step.
mm-hmm,
Mostly, it's targeted towards, at least that's how I felt, towards the beginners, right? But if you look at some other people here, including me, we already developed a bunch of integrations, bunch of streaming applications using Kafka and all that multiple times
mm-hmm,
over a period of years, right? So for a person like me, like how, even if we take like 10, 15 minutes, and then
mm-hmm,
we take a non-trivial project, I mean, a full-blown, medium-sized complexity application, and
mm-hmm,
then just lay out, show that, hey guys, so here's an application that's built on Databricks platform. This one does these things, and so it's medium complex because it does 10 things, not just taking data from A to B to C, not that, it
mm-hmm,
does 10 times more. So then in that situation, what are the different kind of artifacts that we develop, right? And how are they situated? What is the dietary structure? How are they situated? um, how are these models kind of layered so that they talk to each other in a certain fashion, right? Just a 15-minute session on that, what it immediately gives us to people like us, then we'll be able to backport our knowledge onto this way of doing things. Because I look everything and all these concepts seems to be so familiar to me. I'm like, "Oh, I had done this like 10 years
yeah,
ago,
yeah. I
right?
understand. Yes,
Why
yes,
are we talking about it, right? But
yes,
then I know the idiomatic way of doing things here are different, and I know this platform is much more powerful.
yes.
uh, but then if it's a medium complexity, how does it all tie together? That's
Right.
will definitely help me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Vamshi. So that's what Shini was also talking about, to have a discussion with you and Anush on the architecture perspective and the design concepts perspective. We can definitely take this up. But the point here is that we have as you said, right? We have a diverse audience, right? And we don't want to get people on the other end to be getting overwhelmed with what we are talking about. I know, so since we have like 10 plus 15 plus years of IT experience and we have done a lot of things, we started from two-tier architectures all the way to cloud platforms right now, so we have done so many things on the way. But what we are trying to do here is to try strike a balance between the diverse audience. So The first part, maybe the first 3-4 weeks that we introduce concepts, introduce hands-on assignments, and introduce components, each component on top of the foundation, what we have learned. So once we are comfortable with this, what we want to do is to use the extensive knowledge that you guys have to bring use cases here and then discuss what kind of architecture, what are the components we have done in the last batch, but we have done towards the second half of the trainings, where we have covered all the essential components of the architecture. So that's how we are taking it. Definitely, I hear you. I take your feedback. But just bear with me for a few more days. We'll definitely get into into that discussions of use case and architecture. But meanwhile, we can also have offline discussions with Srini about the designs and the architecture or the best practices that you are looking for. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, like I said, right? Again, I don't want to derail the thing, but at least
No, no. Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 10-minute, a medium complexity application, if you can just show and
Sure,
then say,
sure.
hey guys, like it tells when a medium complex application is deployed into production, how does it look like? How does it sit? Right? That's
Mhm.
what it is. All right, that's fine. We'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be
So we will do that. We definitely do. We want to bring your experience also onto the table. It will help other people share each other's experiences, use cases. Since we have wealth of knowledge and experience, we want everybody to get benefited from that. So we would exchange the ideas, the best practices, the use cases definitely as we go forward.
sure. Sure. Thanks.
Okay, great. So, all right. Now with this, right? So we have been doing this community edition here, and then we are like, it's all Databricks specific. So it's like community edition, and then we run just the Databricks notebooks locally, in the sense on the cloud, but without any interaction with other systems here, right? So we create the files, but mostly on the, we do file processing on the Databricks platform. So if you want to just extend it a bit and then understand how we integrate with the other applications, how we want to do that, when we especially taking the sources, right? Multiple sources we talked about. So we can extend that to the sources like a Kafka or EventHubs that we are talking about. So I don't want to get much deeper again, but so first thing we want to do is how we get the Azure, how we get set up on the Azure Databricks. Okay. This is again another architecture, similar, but what we have seen here for streaming data. Like yesterday, we were talking about multiple use cases. So to run this, what we are seeing here, we have streaming sources like Kafka, log data, IoT, etc. All of these, like we talked about yesterday, the weather data or any other data that we are streaming from different applications or different devices. And we have something called Azure EventHubs. So this is again a NQDQ system or a messaging system, you can call something similar to Kafka, where you have a sink or event hub where the messages are coming in, that is published. We call it a publish subscribe model to be simple. So where messages are published to event hubs, and then they are consumed from event hub by any of the consumer. So you have a publisher, you have a consumer. So publisher or applications that publish information to this hub, or it can be Kafka, anything. So you can directly read from Kafka to the Databricks, or Kafka can write to EventHubs and we can read from EventHubs. Here, Azure EventHubs is like used as is, in the sense of it being a repository or a central repository where you get information from multiple sources. So Kafka can write, log data can be here, IoT data can be here. So from different streaming sources, you get to one place, in the EventHubs. Again, you in the Event Hub, it's not like everything is being dumped into one bucket. You have different partitions or different topics that, topics you have in the Event Hub. So they will be differentiated based on what topic they are writing to. And when you're consuming from this, you can specifically read that particular, you can subscribe and read from that particular topic. So what are the latest records or latest information that is coming in for that particular topic? You can read, and then everything here we already know. So we are processing all of this and then serving to the right side, to BI or data science or ML or whatever it is. Right. So this is the high level architecture that we talk about. And as Vamshi said, so this is one of the use cases. I mean, it looks simple end of the day, but this is practically deployed in production in many of the organizations, this kind of architecture. Now, this only talks about the core elements. So there are a lot of things on top of this, as you said, right? The CI/CD process that sits on top of it. How do we create the environment for development, testing, UAT? How do we measure performance? How do we deploy to production? And then data governance, right? So what are the users' permissions? Who can access what kind of access you provide? How do you create user groups? So all of this is, data governance is part of this here, Unity Catalog, right? The Databricks has a component called Unity Catalog that runs across the Delta Lake. So that takes care of the data governance, which means our users, permissions, user groups, workspaces, catalogs, all of that. This we will discuss going forward in a session about data governance and Unity Catalog. We will also talk about Delta Lake in the next session. What actually is Delta Lake? What are the features of the Delta Lake when we are writing? Okay. We're introducing EventHubs right now. So Azure Databricks. And then we have, so if you look at what we are talking about in the what you call the curriculum, right? The index that we have given. So there's something called DLT, Delta Live Tables. So that also we will talk about. That's the advanced and new concept from Databricks kind of thing. And then we'll talk about internals, Spark internals. When we run this, whatever SQL query or run a job, what happens internally? What is a DAG? How does it execute? Performance, basically, how do we improve performance for any Databricks applications, all of that. So definitely there are a lot of things that we will be covering in the coming sessions. We will increase the pace as well. But initially, I want you guys, everybody, to at least be comfortable with this part in the middle, all of this processing. Fair? Any questions?
One thing, sir, for
Yeah.
this architecture which you're showing here.
Mhm.
Now, how does implementing EventHubs as a layer in between the streaming sources and data lakes, Databricks, differ from having a connector directly from these streaming sources to Databricks?
Oh, you can. That's what I said, right? So you can have event hubs, or you can have directly Kafka streaming, Kafka connector to
Okay.
ingest into any of the raw layers. So as and
Good.
when data is coming, or you can have an application, the streaming application to read from Kafka. See, Kafka cannot directly write, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So you have, it's a hub, it's a
Correct. Yeah.
hub subscribe model. So you have to subscribe and you have to go and
Correct.
pull data. It cannot
Correct.
push. So you can write a application here to directly go to Kafka and
Subscribe.
read, subscribe and keep reading and ingesting. That's what I said. You can directly go there. Or, and then see, actually the event hub can be one of these, like this source. But why this architecture here is because this is focused on, we say, like a Azure Databricks. It's kind of consolidating different sources into one.
Into one. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so that's, see, so this again, this is not a
It's more design decision,
design
basically.
difference, exactly. So this is not hard and fast rule that this has to be like this. You can swap around any comment. Like the other day I was saying, it is totally fine if you drop one of these. I see, I don't want silver or I don't want gold. I can directly read from silver. It's absolutely fine. It's your decision. Say, I don't want another layer. I don't want, it's the same data, 100 records here, maybe 80 here, maybe 20 here. But it's all based on maturity of the industry and the use cases that it has evolved. This is most convenient and consistent, right? Convenience for to design and then serve basically on this. um, it also has to do with the data governance, right? So who can read from this layer, who can read from this layer? So some of the for BI, most of it, the aggregations and the data from gold layer is good enough. If you want to go to ML or data science or whatever, you cannot work with aggregations. You need more detailed data, right? So granular data. So you come to silver. So you give access here so that all your ML or AI applications, they can read data from here. It is also in some rare cases for the data science team to just want to explore or analyze data, what kind of data we are getting in, even without doing the cleansing. It is in very rare cases, you also give access to the raw layer, but that is very rare, as I said. Okay, but so these are the kind of design decisions that we make. So you want this here or you don't want here, that is totally fine. But I can tell you, in one of the organizations that I worked previously, I was handling the data modernization platform, right, from their on-prem databases of their ancillary units onto one enterprise level data foundation that they are consolidating and modernizing onto Azure Databricks. I was handling that. They do have this kind of architecture. Exactly. So they have a Kafka and they also have a Azure Event Hubs, and the Kafka, the Event Hubs, the data is coming into the Event Hubs from Kafka. And then they have this Databricks reading from Event Hubs. So again, it's saying it's not just conceptual architecture. It is already adapted or implemented in some organizations, but it is totally fine whether we want to have this here or have this here. Okay. Good.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Great. So before we go here, where is this? 1 second. So I wanted to introduce, just talk few minutes about the Azure Event Hubs, right? Uh, yes. Let me get this. Okay. So if you see here, Azure Event Hubs, it has a native Kafka support. Okay, so before that, I know Vamshi has worked, as you mentioned, a lot on the Apache Kafka. But we also have, what is how does Kafka work and how does Event Hub sit in the entire architecture? So we have been talking a lot, but just give me a few more minutes. Uh, so if you see one of this architecture here process, see again, it's the same streaming data that we are getting in to the event hubs. And then you have a Kafka support here. It can come through Kafka or it can come directly, can read from event hubs. And this is all Azure Databricks. So there are some Azure components as well. You can do analytics with Azure Event Hubs, or you can use Azure Databricks here, Parquet, Files, Delta Lake, ADLS. So all of this comes with the Databricks, Azure Databricks, right? So this is the one of the architecture. Now, what we have seen here, Event Hubs going into the Azure Databricks processing. But if you see here, that is only one part of it. You can use the same data information that you have in Event Hubs with other components as well, other applications. You can build other stream processing with Azure Stream Analytics. There is another application here. Data Explorer you can use to do the directly read from here and do data analytics, Azure Data Explorer. So there are a lot of other things that you can use. It does not have to be just, if you have Azure Event Hub, you have to go to Azure Databricks. So that's what I said, like there are a lot of other sources or other consumers who can consume from the same source of information here. Okay. So if you go, Vamshi, you want to comment about Azure, sorry, Kafka, or we want to take that later? I think we have been discussing for a long time.
We'll take that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
fine. That's cool.
So let's come back here, guys. For now, I want to do the event hubs. Okay. So what is Azure Event Hub is basically, if you want to start with an Azure Databricks account, so basically you cannot do the streaming from event hubs in the Databricks, right? So what we need to do here is create a Azure Databricks account. So you can go to portal.azure.com and then create an account for yourself. So you have some free account, some paid account that you have. So when you use this, you get charged a bit. Okay. But go through whatever the videos and demos, and then it's good to have some kind of hands-on. It doesn't charge you much for this part. Okay. Maybe $20-$30 should be fine per month that I am seeing, assuming when you want to just practice a few things here. So what you do first here is when you go, you first create a resource, right? So what kind of resource you want to create? So first you want to create a subscription for yourself. Okay. So first create a subscription, Azure subscription. So this is the subscription I have created for your account. You just first create, when you create an account, you create a subscription. Okay. It will just give you some default directories you want and ID. You just give the name. So this is at the top level. You create a subscription. So once you create subscription for this is the subscription. Then you have to create a resource group. Okay. So resource group is just as I talked about, right? It's a user group where you belong, what access you have, how you can access different components, right? So when you create the resource group, you can give any name. So when you create resource group, you have to attach it to the subscription. Okay, which subscription you have already created the subscription, right? So you create with that subscription. So it's the subscription, and then you have your resource group attached to the subscription. So these are the two components that you create. Then once you create the resource group, then you create your Azure Databricks service. Okay. So there are 4 or 5 components that you have to create all that setup. If you just want Databricks, you have to create the subscription, resource group, and Azure Databricks service. So it's just like here, you go to create resource, and then you will have service. So you can check for, Azure Databricks service. Okay. So you can go here and then create a Azure Databricks service. So when you create this, you have to use your resource group and the subscription. Okay, where you are going to create that. So I will also give you the reference documentation that will help you in guiding, that will guide you to create these resources. Okay, so you have created the subscription, then resource group, and Azure Databricks service. You just need one. Don't worry about this right now. You just need one service. Okay. For now, you can use standard or see which one is supporting you to get the into Azure thing. So after this, we want to have Azure EventHubs. Okay. So for that, you have to create a resource, or you have to create a resource or service called EventHubs namespace. Okay, Azure EventHubs. So it is just here, right? So you can go EventHubs and then create a new event hub this way. So you just give the name, and then again, same thing. You have to attach it to a resource group. Okay, and subscription. Starbricks and resource group, the same resource group and subscription where your Azure Databricks service you have created to, so that they can talk to each other, right? So to keep it simple, we are not going into all of that data governance right now, how to give permissions, how to create those role-based access or backend, all of that, security in that. So just keep it simple, use the same subscription, same resource group, and yeah, so then you create the namespace. And once you create the namespace, you can go and create an event hub under that. So you can go and do a event hub here. You just give name, cleanup policy. You can just keep retention time 1 hour, that is fine. Just give it a name, give the minimum whatever is required, and then you create the event hub. So that once you have that event hub, so you can go here there is something called Data Explorer. So this is basically, again, your testing utility that you can use to send and receive messages from Event Hub. So here, what is the Event Hub that you created, right? So you can use that Event Hub here. Partitions, default consumer group, everything is same here. So just check send events. So this has changed a little bit from a month ago. So I'll share you the previous video as well, which has more details. So this you can do a data set. Okay. So there are some custom data sets. Remember, Databricks gives you some standard data sets, right, to practice, just like we did events yesterday based on some files that Databricks has already provided. And then it has provided a rate streaming, where if you access that rate format, you get streaming data for just practice, right? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So please stop me if you have any questions or if you're confused if I'm going too fast. Okay. But this is one thing, you can just do a couple of 30 minutes of reading on EventHubs. It's very simple concept. And the same concept is also part of Kafka. So if you can just explore these two, you can, also talk about, say, we also know, and these two. So when you talk about a use case, as Vamshi was talking about, when you talk about the experience you have, you should talk about how you have Event Hub and how you have read and write read messages, consume messages from Event Hubs and processed in Databricks, data engineering. It's one of the projects that you can mention based on your experience when you talk about in interviews. Custom payload is where you have to give your own message here. We'll talk about it. Then it gives you some pre-canned data sets. Okay. There is a yellow taxi. It's a New York yellow taxi data. Now, okay. You have vendor ID, pickup date time, drop off date time, all of these information. Okay. So this is a JSON format. I guess most of you are aware of it. But for people who haven't worked, this is called a JSON format, where you have information in the form of key and value. So the first part is key, colon, the second part is the value of it. These are like your database column and value. There is a session that will talk about how do we parse JSON files in the Databricks, in the data engineering Spark job, because it's not always this simple. You have nested structures. So we will talk about that. But this is a simple JSON. Just you have key value pair. So each key will be one field, and this will be a value. Now, see here, since there are some system properties you don't need to worry about. Keep that simple. Send events to a partition or using a partition key. So basically, again, this is a concept where you have multiple partitions. That's like, distributed computing, right? So just like in Spark, the data goes to multiple partitions. Here also you can publish to different partitions in the Event Hub for the same topic. So you can do repeat send. How many times you want to repeat this message? So you can send 10 times, 5 times, 100 times, whatever. What is the interval between this in milliseconds? So if I just give 1000 milliseconds and do this, okay, and send. See, sending 10 events to Starbricks demo Event Hub. Where is that? They changed this UI from last month suddenly. Let me check here. Oh, it's here. View events. Okay. So these are the events that we have. Total received events is 10. Okay, so we have sent 10 events from there, published to this sequence number, offset, partition, enqueued, time. Okay, 10 events are there here. So you can see the time is different for each of it: 56, 59, 01, 03, 9, 45, 58. See, this is 58, 59, right? So 1 second apart that it has published the messages. And if you look at event body, so this is the event body. This is the metadata, but yeah. Can you see this? So vendor ID, whenever you send 1, 2, 4, so different vendor IDs here, but sequence number is what is unique that is generated every time you send. And this is dynamic. It can pick up any vendor ID when you publish from here. Anybody, any questions? You understand the basics, what publish is, right? So when you publish, it is published and sitting here. Now any consumer can come and read this. Right?
Yep.
Raju? Lahari?
So isn't it like now it's already sent the same data into the Databricks?
It is not, right? It's not. See, we did not send yet to Databricks.
Okay.
We have just published. This is a utility from somewhere. Let's say this is from my database, my store. I am sending it to the Event Hub. So from here, from somewhere here, log data, I have manually published to the Event Hub. Now it is sitting in the Event Hub.
Okay, got it.
So next part is from here, you read from Event Hub.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So this is the first part. Yeah, now it is already there. The data is already there. You can read it. But also, once you start and then the streaming job is running, you can poll and process the data as and when it is coming here. But I just wanted to start with the first part where is it? This one. Yeah, where we are able to publish the data using this Data Explorer. Got it? Now we go to our the Azure Databricks. So this is also the Databricks, workspace. Once you have created that, the Azure Databricks service, you get a launch workspace. So you can create a workspace and launch your workspace. You will come here. So now this is exactly like your community edition, but because this is a paid version, you see you have lot more features available here. So you have a SQL editor, just like you can interact with other components. Just like other databases, right? The SQL Server client or Oracle client, same thing. You can interact with the Databricks catalog tables here using the um, SQL editor. So here, so you can change this to meta store default. See here, if you go to catalog, so you have to start remember in the community edition, you had a compute that you started. So you can create a compute here, or you can have serverless. Basically, we'll talk about different types of computes and what the serverless is. Serverless basically is a concept where you don't have to define what kind of compute you want, how many machines you want, what is the size of the machine that you want. So everything is taken care of. Basically, predefined available machines. So it will automatically take your job, run it, and then charge you for the consumption. So that's a different model, in the cloud right now, serverless. Basically, in this, the yesterday we were talking about, I think Anush or Vamshi, right? The warm up time. Remember, Vamshi?
Yeah. We are talking
Yeah,
about the
you
warm-up
said right,
time.
every
Yes.
15 minutes or 5 minutes, we take up a job. We have to bring up the machines, then cool, then shut down the machines, cool down, right? So
Right.
exactly to handle that, Databricks has come up with not Databricks, I think all cloud platforms have right now, something called serverless, where basically you don't have to worry about any of the availability of machines, size of the machines, performance, or the number of machines that you have, all of that, cluster size and all of that, everything is automatically taken care of under the hood, and it's abstracted. You just give the job, it will run it, and then it will charge you based on the consumption. So all of that is pre-warmed machines. So your job gets started and running in less than a second. It should start executing. Okay.
Right.
So that's the serverless concept. Okay. See, that's now it's already started, in less than a second, in a second. Now you can see what are the tables that you have in the catalog, if you have anything. So there is no data here. In the UC workspace, you have some demo schema, some tables here, taxi or record stop baby names, all of these. Okay. So basically, yeah. So this is the Databricks, Azure Databricks that we are talking about in the paid version. So you get the workflows. We are talking about scheduling, right? When you have jobs, you can schedule the jobs. So you have those workflows to schedule the jobs. You can create your own compute machines that you can come. SQL editor, as I was talking about, you can go here and uh, select what is the catalog. Select this catalog, uh, demo schema dot any table. Okay. Just say flagged rights. So this is our, very familiar type of how we access the tables. Some unauthorized exception, permission denied. Okay, anyways, we'll check that. I think this is a different workspace that we have. But basically, this is the editor. And then you have queries, dashboards, job runs, Delta live tables. This is what we will be talking about. How your Delta tables, how you can generate a lineage and see how the data is flowing in the pipeline. You have ML, playground experiments, features, models, everything. All of these are available in this. But we will stick to what we are doing right now. Go back. So which workspace?
So is catalog is sub of workspace? Like the tables that we create and other resources that we create and everything, right? They are part of the workspace. They're all grouped under umbrella of workspace, right? Is catalog also under that, like that?
So it is a different concept in Databricks. So catalog is basically your database name. Database namespace is different. Workspace is different. Catalog is different. So these are two different entities. Your data tables are structured like in a catalog, schema, and table. 3-level namespace. Okay. So if you see here in the catalog, you will have a so you have a catalog, schema, and tables, just like database, schema, and tables. You can say it's a catalog, schema, and table. Not just tables. You can have if you see here, you can have schema, then tables, volumes, storage locations. There are few things that you can have within this here. Workspace is at this level. So what you do is you say which workspace has access to what catalogs. It's kind of how you organize, right? By departments. Let's say, so the business. Okay. So you have a business workspace. They can have only access to gold layer. So the catalog and tables from the gold layer. Correct. The devs can have access. So development workspace, if you go, they have access to different catalog and tables. Right. The your testing team will have access to different catalog and tables. So that's how it is organized. But this is all governed by Unity Catalog. That's what we said we'll talk about in the future classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arun, the configuration between the workspaces and the catalogs, that's all done in the Unity catalog, or is it done at the works?
Unity Catalog.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We'll come back here. Your Databricks. Okay, we come back here. So this is the notebook that you to connect to the EventHubs and process the data. Just give me 1 second. I'll be back. Okay. So let's start executing this. Select resource. We don't have a compute here. Create new resource. Oh, I have to create this now. Okay. So it's creating the cluster, and we start with this. So if we already have these schemas, we will drop, and then we will create the schema again. Now Azure EventHubs connection. Okay. So whatever event hub that we have created, we need to get this endpoint for the event hub, and we need to give the entity path, which is our this is the namespace and this is the event hub. So event hub name is again the same thing, Starbricks demo, what we have. And so this is the standard parameters that we need to pass, right? So we have to get connection from our Databricks space to the Azure event hubs that we have created. These two have to talk to read data from that. So to give that, we have to give the endpoint where the event hub is there and what is the event hub name, and the connection string. So basically, we are encrypting the connection string from this endpoint. So whatever we gave here, endpoint and entity path, it has the share access key name, share access key as part of this. So how do we get this? We get this entire information from your event hubs. I may not exactly check where it is. Event hub.
It will be in that shared access keys in the
Sorry?
previous. If you go back to start namespace demo, the previous screen. So go to shared access keys on the left. Shared access policies.
This one, right?
So it's your primary and secondary.
Yeah, these are share access policies
So
at
if
the
you,
at the namespace. This is the demo policy. These are the policies that define what access you have, right?
and the configuration, I think,
Yeah,
or with the overview itself, you should be able to see. I think
yeah. Let me see. It should be somewhere here.
they moved around things even from
Yeah,
what.
no. Last. That's what I was confused yesterday. Luckily, I was just revising, and then all the UIs changed.
Probably connect.
Ah,
Azure keeps updating every couple of weeks.
yeah, yeah. No. No.
This control probably.
Not this. Is it here in the settings?
What shows up when you click on that policy? I don't know. Is it not giving you the connection itself?
No, it's not giving me this. So I will check that and let you know where to go that. The role assignments. It is process features, consumer goods, properties. So Starbricks namespace, Azure EventHubs. This is the namespace, and this is the host name. That is part of that key that we have. But settings, I think it should be here one. Okay. Anyways, I will check that and give you exactly where it is after, in the new UI. But for now, I think we can continue.
Arun, I'm just looking at my setup, my work. So when I go to shared access policies for EventHub and click on the policy itself, it should give you the connection strings, primary and secondary.
Oh, yes. Is it? Okay, let me go. Where is that?
So shared access policies one. And you click on any one, that should bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Primary.
Okay. Primary, secondary. Which one we have used? I think we have used the primary connection string, Starbricks. And you go here. Okay. Share access key name, Starbricks, EAT. Access key KV0. This one looks a little bit different. NVA. Okay, yeah, this is this one. Yeah, you can use so this one endpoint. You can directly just copy that and just replace in this quotes, right? Event hub name, whatever you create your event hub name, anyways, it will be part of this entity path. Okay. So same event hub name that you can use and use this as is configuration, connection string and event hub name. So this is encrypting this connection string here to connect to the event hub. Okay. Now, so there is no data here. So I think this will not. Let me run this also. Config. Okay. So there is no data here. Okay. Now let's see. We come back to the streaming layer here. So remember yesterday we did spark.read stream format. We used CSV, JSON, rate, right? Yesterday. So today we are using EventHubs. If we go here, yesterday, what we did, streaming example. In the community edition we did yesterday. If we go to format, so read stream, you said .json. This is the format that we used. And then we also used rate format in the first example. So format we used rate here, right? So based on what source that you are connecting to read the stream, your format and options would change. Okay. So now coming back here, we are using the format called EventHubs and options. We are giving *ehconf. This is basically saying that read the parameters from this object, which we have initialized here. What happened? Why is this not? Hmm. What is the correct method to encrypt? What did we do here? Encrypt event hub utils. Did the same thing, right? Entity path. Topics demo.
So is the
The event hubs, the upper casing is the casing is wrong. No, that's that's correct. That's correct.
This one?
No, I got confused. No,
No,
you're
I
right.
was
You're
just
right.
saying this
That's good.
word is not
That's
available.
also correct.
Maybe they have.
Oh, everything seems to be correct. Event hubs.
Object is not callable. Is this? I think. Oh, maybe this. Oh. So these are only compatible based on this. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I forgot this one. So when you create a cluster, there is some configuration that you have to do a match on. Okay. If you go to compute and I guess stop this. I don't need create compute. Just bear with me. These are the things that you need to set up before you execute any of this. There's some setup that needs to be done. It's good that you're seeing these things, configuration required. You have to have a single node compute cluster with 12.2 LTS, Spark this, Scala this, and Maven library installed on the compute cluster. That is why it's not able to run that. So you have to install this library on your compute cluster when you are creating the compute. Okay. So let's go and see 12.2 single node 332. Okay. So just go single node, runtime your 12.2, 332. Let's take this. Okay. I not have enough CPU cores to satisfy. Terminate after 20 minutes of inactivity.
Yeah, reduce the number of cores. So like, do you have like 2 cores?
Yeah, let's take this 14 GB. I think that should be enough. Now create compute. So you go here next. Once you do that, you have libraries. So here you have to go and install a new library. Here, go to Maven, search packages, Maven Central, and this is, where did that go? Azure EventHubs part. Let's see what is this. Okay. Azure EventHubs Spark 212. Okay. 2322, right? Azure Event Hub Spark 212 2322. Select this and say install. Okay. So let it create and install this. Okay. Cluster is ready, but I think the library is still getting installed.
Harun, would you mind giving a glimpse of this in last 5 minutes? One.
Yeah, sure. We will review that once we are able to get connection and run this. We will revisit and review it again. And you will also have the recording, so don't worry. Okay, now that library is installed, let's go back and check using this new compute cluster. Okay, so that's done successfully now. Okay, so this is successful. Table, these are all we have truncated. We don't need this. Now let's go here. Read stream, EventHubs, config, df dot display. I'm not going to write this as of now. So let me comment this out, okay, and run this and see if we are able to read. Okay, so this is running, but we don't have any data that for it to pick up. So because we are not reading it from the watermark or anything, so it's looking for the new data to arrive. So what we will do here, we will go to the Data Explorer and send events, select taxi data, repeat send 10, 2 seconds, and send this. See here, now automatically it has read the data, 10 rows. You get this? Guys, did you see this? Are you able to
Yeah.
understand what's happening?
Yeah.
So what just happened?
So, Arun, why you had already sent messages to the event hub, right? Why didn't it pull it from the first time?
Yeah, so it has a watermark, right? So there are some options how you want to read. You want
Okay,
to
you
read
went for
whatever,
a date.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah, start time. So you want to read whatever is there already,
Mhm.
or now I have started the stream, whatever is coming in going forward, I will start reading that.
Got it.
So as and when the data is arriving into the stream, it polls and reads that data.
So from that point of time rather than before. Basically.
Yeah, yeah. So now this is running, right? So now this we already have 10 rows. So I can go and do same thing. I can publish more data and see here. So now I want to publish another 5 records, and basically we put 2 milliseconds. So everything came immediately. So I want to do 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds. Okay. And send and see here. So we have 10 rows. So it read 2 rows, 12, 13. Every time it's going back, whenever that is published, it's reading that. So we have put the 2 seconds lag, right? For it, the message to publish. And this is polling every time as and when there is a new data that is coming in there, it is pulling in. Now you can see the body here is all like encrypted. Okay. So we can actually, this is where we go and we give the schema, okay, for that object that we are reading. And then we need to do a transformation because it is reading from the external system application Event Hub. It is all like encrypted. So with column, body string, cast as string. So this is where it is decrypting the data. Then from JSON, I am parsing it using the JSON schema, the body. So this is the JSON schema, that entire whatever you are seeing here. Where is that? So this one. So all of this, it is in one string format, this JSON. So that is what I'm trying to parse using this schema. The first one is vendor ID, pickup date, time, all of that. And then I'm selecting body dot all of this as columns. And then I'm doing the display here. Okay. So this is, I am reading from the bronze table, yellow taxi, but what I have already written to the bronze layer. So I've not written here, but once I write this, then I can go back and parse this as a data frame value. Okay, so let's now uncomment this part. Okay, so it's a table. I will stop this because the cell has changed. Okay, now I'm taking this, putting in a checkpoint. I will just do 1103 checkpoint location. Output mode is append. Keep appending the data to the existing table, format delta, and this is the table. Okay. Now let's start this. I run this. And eleven zero three. So just check whether we have the tables. Okay, tables that are there. Now I have restarted it. I'm reading here. Remember, starting the schema, reading from the event hubs, writing to the bronze table. Okay, it's defining the schema. Read from the bronze. See again here, I am reading it as a stream. So basically, even your delta tables can be used as streaming sources. Okay, just like here format event hub, we are reading a stream from event hub. As and when the data is coming into a delta table, even you can read stream from the delta table as well. So read stream, you can also give format delta. So you're reading the stream from this, parsing the data, doing all of this transformations, how you read from JSON, parsing that we will cover, display, and then I'm writing to the silver in the append mode. Okay. Gold aggregations we can do, but let's run till here. So let me run this. Okay. Now all the stream one, there are two streaming jobs running. One is from EventHubs to the bronze layer, and the other one is reading from bronze table to the parsing and writing to silver. Right? Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Okay, so we have started 2 streams. Now, this is where the concept called delta live tables that we will talk about later comes in, where all of this is automatically done. Syncing between all of these tables in the live streaming between all of these tables, processing and everything. So that we will talk about it. But for now, see, we have 2 streams. Now, the first one is reading from, second.
So Harun, you said Spark.read stream from format is delta. So I thought that delta is only for when you're reading from the file system, but even when you're reading from the table, it's also delta.
No, delta is not file system. Delta is Databricks format of tables. Whatever you write to the tables, those are called delta tables. The format is called delta because it's the abstraction that is built on top of your actual Parquet files that is written. So we'll talk about that when we talk about Databricks delta.
Right.
What is delta?
Yes. Sorry.
So delta is there.
So
Yeah.
then, okay, then server formats, what you have is like CSV and all that, then it's delta. Because even though because in the bronze layer, we already materialized to a table, right? But of course, it's backed by the delta lake formatted file system. That's why we're calling delta.
Yes. See, that's what we are talking when we looked at any of these architectures. If you see, there's something called delta lake here. See, whenever you talk Azure Databricks, the lowest level of the data storage, the actual storage is on data. See, this is the ADLS. This is Azure, underlying cloud platform. This can be Azure, this can be AWS, this can be GCP, Google. Any of these 3 platforms. This is where the lowest level, the actual data is stored. On top of how it is stored is in the Parquet file format. On top of the Parquet file, we have an abstraction layer called Delta Lake. So this is what is creating those table-like definitions, you're recording your transaction log, making sure versioning of the tables, and then vacuum, deleting the unwanted data. All of this are the features, creating updates, merge on these. Everything is extracted, abstraction layer on Delta Lake. So that's what we call format delta. The underlying Parquet files are stored in ADLS. This is what is managing all of it with these 2 and in the Databricks.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Come back here.
And Arun, sir, one question here.
Yeah.
So when you are reading from the Event Hub and writing to this bronze layer, right? For the right, you are specifying the checkpoint, correct? Now, when you're reading from that bronze table into silver, we are going to read everything, not including the checkpoint. I mean, I'm just saying we are writing only from a specific checkpoint, right? But when you're reading again,
so don't get confused. We are not writing to any checkpoint. Checkpoint location is for the Databricks to maintain its state.
correct.
What operation it is doing, it's like it stores the metadata. Hey, I processed these many files or these many records. This is where I am, or like writing a forward log, right? This is what I'm going to do, and this is where I am. So whenever it fails, it go back and reads where it stopped. So this is just for the metadata for it.
So for reading, for example, while reading itself, right? something goes wrong. And if it want, so it'll always read the whole thing. It's not like not going from one.
Reading, there is nothing going wrong, right? So reading is you're reading from table, that's it. Why do you need, just like you're reading from any SQL table, when you are doing select star from table, why do you need a go to checkpoint what you are reading?
Yeah, but if the table is big, right? I mean, what I'm saying, in always a select, we don't do select everything, right? Anytime.
Yeah.
So now when we are saying read without any options, does it always read everything which is in the bronze table?
No, you can write where clause, right? Filters.
Yeah. So that we are selecting this, correct? But I'm telling more to do with now, is it always going to go back to everything and read everything from the bronze table?
Yes. Because it's just a table here. Whatever is the latest version, it considers all of it as your current data.
Okay.
Okay. Because you are continuously appending to it. So only the right part you will need checkpoint location, because when you are writing and if it fails, it has to go back and restart and do that to write. But when you are reading, it's like, it's what or there is always read guarantees. You only read once. If it fails, the read, it can always go back and read. You have that watermarks, right? Whatever you have read from previous processing, it will go back and only read from there because you have
Okay,
that.
that's what I was asking. So it already automatically has that watermark created. We don't have to specify that where to go back from, correct?
Yeah, not here in this delta, but in the in here where you read from the EventHubs.
Okay.
So here you can specify when you're reading, you have options.
Okay.
So delta is just the table, but when you do a delta live table, it is already all CDC is internally managed. Okay. Okay. All right. So everything is now running. We will go back and do one more time, publish and see how we are doing here. I'll just put maybe 5 seconds or just 3 seconds. Send, come back and see what the stream is picking up. So 1 row here, 2 rows, it's writing, and see immediately it is coming in the silver as well. So the entire stream, as and when it is writing, it is picking up from the delta and then it is writing here. Okay, end to end. Ten rows here, processed, 10 rows here. Now in the bronze, you only have this data like this, encrypted data and metadata, whatever is the partition, what is the offset, sequence number, enqueue time, and all of this. In the silver layer, all of the transformations are done. Now you see the fields, vendor ID, pickup date time, drop off date time, passenger count, trip distance. So all of the fields parsed here with the timestamp. Now what you can do, you can go back here, view events, take the lot. Okay. So whatever events you are publishing, so will end up here. in the silver layer, all 10 rows. So once it is here, the same thing, gold layer, you can just get data again stream from silver, and then you can do windowing. So this we have not talked about, watermark and group by window. So what is a window, right? So in the window, you're looking at what's happening in the last 5 minutes. I want to get aggregates only for last 5 minutes kind of a thing that you can do on the data while it is streaming. So it is still streaming. It's in the silver. You can still read from the data stream from silver, and then you can do this aggregation and then write to gold as script summary. So every 5 minutes data gets written here from start to end. Okay. So let's say from 12:30 to 12:35, what was the distance? What was the average amount? Whatever is the aggregate that you did, is it window start and distance amount, average amount for the distance. Okay. This is the distance, this is the average amount. So like this, every 5 minutes, you are appending the data for a 5-minute window. So this event time, based on whatever is the data, you can get aggregates. Okay. So I will stop this here. And we will go back and review what we have done, right? So that's what we wanted to do. Right, Lahari? Is that what you wanted?
Sir.
Okay. So what I would ask you first, not you, anybody, to recap whatever you can recollect of what we have done today. So you can look at this and talk about it. Then I will add, or you guys can all add, so that it has to be collaborative discussion rather than me speaking again everything. What do you think?
That's a very good way to go, because the people they'll be engaged.
Sorry, what is that?
No, that's a very good approach, I'm saying.
Okay,
Because
good.
that's more
Okay, so who wants to go
interactive.
first? Let me take, I don't want to take, Naina, you want to try? So don't worry, this is not a test or question answer. We just want to talk, collaborative discussion. That's it. Naina?
No, Arun. I just want to listen one more time.
Okay, that's fine. Totally fine. Who wants to give it a shot? Subhashini?
Hi, Arun. I can try, but one
No worries, absolutely. So that's what I said. Nobody is here to judge. We are just here to talk, discuss. That's it.
this is very complex procedure, like being very new to data. I feel that it is very complex, but still I could understand all the concepts you explained. But
Okay.
one question before we start, like
Mhm.
when we create that event hub, there were like standard steps you followed, right? Like resource
Mhm.
and service and everything. So where do we use all that here? I could see that you used um like the key, the primary key as a path for that event hub, and that's where we like I like we start and we get the data to the event hub from the primary. I understood all that concept, but I don't understand like what is the use of like that resource group, and where do we use that, and how do we use that, and like why do we add all that stuff in that first step. I'm not able to relate here.
Okay. Okay.
I was
Gotcha.
just waiting like if like on process you would use it somewhere, but I didn't understand like we didn't use anywhere like that concept of what is that resource group,
Okay.
why do we add and all that.
Okay. So we have this Google document, right, where you are doing that notebook and then you are adding it to the document, right?
Yeah, right.
So when you initially tried, you didn't have access to that.
Yes, right.
So you were not able to update the document.
Oh, it's like the security, like
Right. Yeah.
which
So
group of
basically, if you
users.
want to create the document, what do I need? I first need to have a Gmail account.
Okay.
So first I have to create a Gmail. Without the Gmail account, I cannot have a Google Doc, right?
Yes, right.
So
Okay.
create the Gmail account is, same thing like I want to have a Azure account.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first step. I want to have a portal.azure.com and create a subscription for myself. That's my account.
Okay.
I'm creating my account. What I'm creating is I'm creating a resource group, which is just like to give permissions.
Like a group of users,
Group
like
of users
yeah,
permission.
like a particularly if like a
Yeah,
team,
at
so
team.
all that team will be matched to that particular resource group.
Yeah, so that is up to me. So I can choose which, so if I create 4 or 5 applications, I can choose which application I can give to which resource.
Okay.
And that resource I can give it to people. Hey, you access this resource group, you will get access to this application.
Okay.
Okay. So that is again controlling security or who has access to what.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are some you create, right? So you give private access. Only these people can have access. Some people can have write access. Some people can have only read access.
Okay. Yeah.
So to differentiate that, if I have only one group, how do I differentiate? Everybody will get the same access if I give the same group. So I can create multiple resource groups, and for one group I can give read access, for one group I can give write access. Now, whichever group I give to you, if I give you that group which has read access, you can only read. If I give you access to write that resource group, if you are part of that resource group, you can actually write, edit, read all of that, right?
Okay. Okay.
So that's how it is defined.
Okay.
So that
So
is
this
the resource.
okay, this access like it is to the event hub and also to the data lake tables, right? The resource group and the access limits, right, which you were saying. Hello.
I think he stepped aside. I think so. Subhashini, he should be back.
Okay. Okay. I thought I lost connection.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, sorry, I kind of lost the sense sometime. So did you get that, Subhashini?
Yeah, Harun. Yeah, I understood what is that concept of resource group and stuff.
Okay, so we can talk about this part now.
Yeah.
Whatever we are talking about here, right?
Yeah, sure. So can I start now, Harun?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this architecture is like the Kafka and log data and all that all that are like source file system. Like it can be from like from a third party or somewhere. And this event hub is like a connector between the source and the Databricks system, I would say. So this event hub, when we create an event hub, and from there we load the source file into the event hub, and we follow that queue or queuing system kind of procedure. Like we set like how many datas, like how many rows or data have to be um, processed every time, like published every time, and we set the like time gap and use that event hub key or like configuration details, and we use it in the code uh, to access to that event hub. And we use that messaging system to like set like how many datas to be sent and how many the time lapse and all that. And so when we connect to the event hub, we read by stream. Like we send the message and we start reading from the event hub and write it to the bronze table, like a encrypted format. So that's where we were like describing all that schema, like how it has to be encrypted and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we write it to the bronze table in encrypted format. And then meanwhile, we take data from the bronze table, like read stream format, and then we like decrypt that information, that body of data. We decrypt using the schema we described, like what are all the columns have to be defined and all that using this schema, JSON schema, and we write it into the silver table. Just
I think
correct.
you got most of it. Yeah, I got everything right.
Just correct me if I'm going anywhere, like if I misunderstood something.
No. Yeah, you're
So
good.
I want to add this one.
Yeah,
So don't emphasize anything on the encryption and decryption, because what it is the only reason why you had to initially at very step number one, you had to start talking about encryption decryption, because you're crossing the boundaries. Even though you're all in Azure, you're still crossing a layer from Databricks into Events Hub. See, Microsoft Azure is a platform. It provides you different modules like databases, this, that, whatnot, right? Databricks is one module, and Event Hub is one module. So Event Hub has nothing to do with Databricks, right? Because it's just a publishing module.
It's like a connector between the source and the Databricks system, right?
No. Think of Event Hub as a module that it's an offering from Microsoft Azure, which allows you to publish and consume, streaming data, right? It has nothing to do with Databricks. But in this session today, we are writing a code in the Databricks that has to cross this boundary and talk to that module. And that's why you have the keys and everything, so that it's encrypted, the transport layer is also encrypted and all that. But once you are done with that, forget encryption and decryption, right? Everything else you are talking about is within the Databricks, and therefore, whatever Harun has mentioned, hey, we're going to put it in the bronze layer, or you're going to do a few transformations and put it in the silver layer. That's all native to Databricks. There's no more concern about encryption decryption. So forget about that.
So we can even decrypt the data and put the raw data in bronze layer even.
That's it. That's exactly what it happens, and that's all behind the scenes.
So basically, as very beautifully put by Vamshi, because there's a transport layer between. So this is an external system for the Databricks, right? So we are connecting from Databricks to EventHubs. As I said, it may not be just Databricks. Any other application can also read from EventHubs. So that's why that system, whatever is reading, they will also do the encryption, decryption, because there is a transport layer in between, right? The same thing Databricks is also doing. You can do in flight, but what we get, you get whatever message that you are getting, encrypted message, you just dump it into the bronze, because we are saying we will keep it close to whatever is coming into the bronze, and then do in the next step all that decryption plus whatever transformations that we want to do, parse the JSON file into all, getting into a structured format and writing it into Silver. So that's why we are doing that here. But yeah, thank you. Thanks, Vamsi, for that inputs. So yeah, Subhashini.
Yeah, other than that, everything else is correct.
Awesome.
Okay.
So to recap, right? So basically what integration, what streaming that we are doing is to stream data from EventHubs as a source. Okay, this is, forget about this for a moment, how the data is coming into the EventHubs. So we are reading data from EventHubs, transforming and writing to the this Databricks tables. So that's what we are reading as a stream. So to read it as a stream, we had to do some kind of one-time setup, right? The first thing that we wanted to do, one-time setup to create an account and so we are reading from the EventHubs here. So we have to do some kind of setup, Azure setup. You have to create an Azure subscription. So there's a few components that we talked about to be able to do this integration. So when you are going into the actual organization, when you're, so these are different kind of roles. So you will not be doing all of this end to end. Okay. This will already be there. All your subscriptions, your namespaces, your event hub namespace and event hubs, whatever it is, everything will be already created by DevOps team, or there are other teams that there will be there who will take care of creation of all of that, user groups and everything. So you don't do it in your role as a data engineer. Okay. But it's good to know all of this. You should be knowing all of this, because when you talk to them and they ask you questions, you should be able to answer and understand the context of how things are working, what you need. So plus basically, if you want to do hands-on, anyways, you have to do it. But what I'm trying to say is don't get overwhelmed. You don't need to do this in your day-to-day work as a data engineer. Okay. So you create the account subscription, you create Azure Databricks subscription resource group, you have Event Hub namespace and the Event Hubs. So these are 5 components that you need to create. I will support you, have the video, and I'll give you all the documentation to create all of that. Once you do that and you have the connection string, then you can use that for integration here and then get it done, all of that. Okay.
So Harun, what's the exercises for today?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting some disturbances with the kids here. So this is the so assignment. Basically, yeah, you can just go ahead and practice whatever is there. I will publish this documents, notebook, and also the recording. So what I want to do is create the Azure Databricks account and then try to run this notebook. Okay. So meanwhile, I will also give you more information on what needs to be done. How do we do the integrations on all of this? And then we can review and continue next week as well.
Thank you so much.
That good? Yeah. All right, guys. So let's reconvene again next week, and then I will send you all of this information.
Yeah, sure, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.